on from now, I will put out data which will answer the one pressing question whether the vote in Delhi is a reflection on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There's been a lot of chatter about this, but what does a definitive post-poll survey say? I also want to introduce at this time Professor Sanjay Kumar, one of India's most respected psephologists. He's been leading the CSDS team that's put this data together. We're broadcasting it here exclusively on Headlines Today. And I want to take up now the caste data. And then we'll come to the questions on Kejriwal's 49-day government and the Prime Minister's own performance. Let's take a look at how the caste breakup of the Delhi vote really has been. And this shows the sweep and the extent, Professor Kumar, of the victory of the Aam Aadmi Party. Let's start with the so-called upper caste, where the BJP enjoys a healthy margin between the BJP and AAP. In the Brahmin category, there's a 21% gap between the BJP and AAP, 53 to 32. Let's move on from Brahmins to the Rajput voters, where the BJP is at 43, AAP is at 37. Once again, we're seeing the BJP ahead amongst the Rajputs of Delhi. After this, let's look at Punjabi Khatris. And remember, the BJP has traditionally been seen in Delhi as a Punjabi party. Despite that, the BJP, very interestingly, is at 37, the Aam Aadmi Party at 41. So, AAP actually leads amongst the Punjabi Khatris. Let's now come to the Gujars and the Yadavs. Here, the Aam Aadmi Party is at 46, the BJP is at 32, a big gap. These are the seats of outer Delhi, rural Delhi, where the Aam Aadmi Party had been decimated. This is where the BJP had swept in the last elections. Now a key caste in those constituencies swinging towards the Aam Aadmi Party with a big 14% gap. Let's now look at the Jat voters. The Jats have stayed with the BJP by and large. 20% gap between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. 54% of the Jats saying they voted for the BJP. If I come now to the Dalits, starting with the Jatavs, here you see a massive gap between the two parties. A gap as big as a gap you're going to see in any parametric through the day. 19% for the BJP, a whopping 66%. That's exactly two-thirds. 2 in every 3 Dalit voters of Delhi say that they voted for the Aam Aadmi Party. They voted for the Jharu. Let's now look at other Dalit parties, other Dalits apart from the Jatavs. Here, 55% for the Aam Aadmi Party, just 26 for the Congress. And look for the BJP. Look also at the Congress. Remember, these are traditional Congress vote banks. The Congress, though, completely decimated here. The AAP at 55, the BJP at 26. Let's look at some of the other OBC castes now. Here, again, a big gap. The BJP at 31, the Aam Aadmi Party at 53, a 22-point gap between the two parties. Huge differential. If we were to move on and now look at the Sikh community, again here the Aam Aadmi Party ahead. Now remember, the AAP is actually facing a BJP plus Akali combination. Despite that, the Aam Aadmi Party is ahead amongst the Sikhs, and the BJP, remember, came up with an SIT on the 1984 probe. None of that really working.
Dera Sacha Sauda caused them the damage.
And the Dera Sacha Sauda had come out and supported the BJP. Here are the Muslims. Once again, look at the difference. The Congress at 30%. Remember, in previous elections, it used to be Congress at about 60, 70, 80% of the Muslim voters. The BJP is now at 2, AAP is at 65, Congress is at 29. The trend that emerges, Professor Kumar, seems to indicate that amongst the higher castes, while the BJP leads, the gaps are relatively narrow, whereas amongst the Dalits and the minorities, the Aam Aadmi Party has swept this election, sir.
Actually, look at the gap. Even though BJP is leading over Aam Aadmi Party among groups which belong to the upper caste, but the gap is very narrow. BJP is leading only by 3, 4, 5%. But if you look at the Dalits and the Muslims, which constitutes about 20, 22, a little more than that, 25% of Delhi's voter, among them the gap between Aam Aadmi Party and BJP is huge. Aam Aadmi Party is leading over, actually sweeping among these two communities, and which is what has made a difference. And also we should remember the OBC, which is in very sizable number, about 40% of them would belong to the OBC caste. Among them also AAP has a huge lead over BJP, and this is what has made the huge
joining
difference.
us also now is a man who does very extensive opinion polls for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Sudhanshu Mittal, a cephalogist of sorts in his own capacity, is joining us on this broadcast. Sudhanshu, look at this data, and this indicates very clearly that amongst the upper caste, while the BJP has a gap, the gap is rather narrow, but as you move down the caste pyramid, amongst the minorities, amongst also the Dalits, amongst the OBCs, a yawning gap between the AAP and the BJP. What are you making of these numbers, Sudhanshu?
Rahul, if you look at the vote share we've got, that would clearly indicate what is being stated here. You see, traditionally, the minorities and the scheduled caste vote belong to the Congress. The decimation of Congress has led to the vote being transferred from Congress to Aam Aadmi Party, which is a fact. See, though we can draw
so I'm glad that, you're one of the few BJP spokespersons who hasn't been in denial. You're accepting reality for what it is, and the numbers are so strong that you really cannot avoid reality. But tell me, why did the BJP end up so badly? Why did the master strategist miscalculate this election at every turn?
See, Rahul, this election can be viewed in the context of either 2013 or 2014. Some people will say, look, 2013 we had 34%, now we have 32%, we haven't lost much, but I will not take refuge behind this. To me, the last expression was 46% in Lok Sabha, and now we have come down to 32%. So I have to be reflective about it. I have to think what happened.
Very convenient. You cannot compare a Lok Sabha election with an assembly election. The comparison has to be an assembly to assembly comparison. And in that, the Aam Aadmi Party has jumped from 29% to above 50%. It's about 54.5%. That's almost a 25% jump in AAP vote share. That is significant. That's, that's not something that you see electorally ordinarily.
Rahul, in fact, the electoral jump from 32% to 52% is significant, even in comparison to Lok Sabha. For BJP, I don't want to take refuge behind the fact that 34% is what we had in 2013, and now we have 32%. So I can conveniently say, look, we have not lost our vote share. No, that's not true. Because if this mandate is what it is, which we are all seeing, then we have to say that, look, somewhere, when there were 46% of people supporting us in Lok Sabha, why is it that only 32% people are supporting us?
Manisha Priyam wants to respond to that.
I'll stop, pause for a minute, and let me tell you that even amongst the Dalits who voted for you in the Lok Sabha, I think clearly their response was that we are giving Mr. Modi a chance for an agenda. इन्फ्लेशन एंड अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट अगर इस पे परफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे तो इनको भी बदल दिया जाएगा. I would say that your listening post amongst the poorest in the city was so weak. You could have heard this at the time of the Lok Sabha and worked much harder against them, amongst them, because you knew you had to keep your vote intact. So people who voted for you, the reasons they gave for voting for you, I don't think you heard them then. And of course, this time around, you did not hear them. The Dalit vote completely, slipping away from you. The Gujar vote, for example, where is Mr. Ramesh Biduri, who's won the MP seat, factions from within his family, now supporting the Aam Aadmi Party. The ground beneath the feet of the BJP clearly swept away in front of your eyes, where the parties had a citadel. In fact, the fortress of the Jansangh since the 1950s. This must be a moment of reckoning for the BJP as it retreats to think over this election.
Very interesting. I also want to put out now data points for, just give me a moment, Sudhanshu, about how people perceive the 49 days of the Aam Aadmi Party government. And I want to introduce at this time Priyanka Chaturvedi, spokesperson for the Congress Party. She's joining us on this broadcast. The Congress getting a zero, a big fat zero in this election. And Priyanka, we've been making this point again and again. Will anyone take responsibility for what happened? This is fairly inconceivable for a Congress which has an average vote share of 42.1% over all the assembly elections in Delhi since 1951 to now come and crash down to 0 seats. The Congress seems to be now doing to Delhi what it's done to West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, completely getting wiped out once you lose power.
No, it is extremely worrying and of course very disturbing too as to the results that have come out today for our party. But we also must, and obviously we know the road ahead would be a long one, and that and a difficult one too, considering that we've lost our vote share as well, and be very upfront and honest about it, that it has been a disturbing trend for the party, and the party will rework, re-strategize, and will have to reconnect with the people. But all I'd like to say here is that in 2013, when we came down to 8 seats, we did try to reconnect with the people, but somehow I think we failed there, and that is what we need to start working on again, and that is an advantage that Aam Aadmi Party got over us, and that is how I probably feel that BJP not being able to perform in the last 9 months as far as the central government is concerned also helped the Aam Aadmi Party. People did not trust us
I want to introduce also at this time Chetan Bhagat. He's joining us on this broadcast. India's foremost, most popular writer, now a political pundit in his own right, and before that I want to play out this data set which deals with Arvind Kejriwal's popularity during that 49-day government. Now in hindsight, this is amongst voters who'd gone out, cast their mandate. When Sanjay Kumar and his team asked them what they thought of Kejriwal's 49-day government, 70%, that's 7 out of 10 voters, Chetan, seem to suggest that they like the government. Now, there's been this big narrative about how he's a bhagoda, he's an anarchist, he couldn't govern, he has no governance skills. The data is counterintuitive. It suggests that 7 out of 10 people actually liked that 49-day period.
Yeah, and I think that's what people missed out on. That's what the BJP completely misread. I think in the height of the Modi wave, people wanted Mr. Modi to win, so they kind of cast aspersions on Arvind and just to kind of brush him off for the Lok Sabha elections. But I think people were happy, and this signaling did not reach the top leadership of BJP, that the 49 days were actually liked by people.
No, but they stay in Delhi.
But yeah, which is what is bizarre. But
is it like an emperor now where the disconnect?
And you know what, I was just talking to some BJP people and they were saying that towards the end, when they saw the Congress knew that they're going to lose, they actually went to the voters and said, can you please put your vote for AAP because we're not going to win.
Oh, that's
small, these BSPs, the TMCs, because they have openly supported, like Mamta and all.
No, please, for God's sake. You know,
that's what they're saying.
In 2013, the BSP vote, which was Muslim and Dalit, a big chunk of it went to Aam Aadmi Party. From BSP, from Congress to BSP, and from BSP to Aam Aadmi Party. The BJP was a silent spectator. It did not intervene effectively to take a chunk away from it. And that vote stayed with Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal never lost that vote. And that vote remained with him despite non-exposure to television.
We've just got some breaking news coming in that Aam Aadmi Party has had its first brush with controversy after this big landslide victory. AAP's winning lawmaker from Okhla has said that the accused in the 2008 Batla House encounter were innocent. Amanatullah Khan has been seeking a reprobe into this encounter. Khan, who won the elections by the second highest margin, says that the charges against the accused were concocted. Khan added that he will continue to fight for the accused. The Batla House shootout took place on the 19th of September 2008, in which 2 Indian Mujahideen terrorists, Atif Amin and Mohammad Sajid, were killed. Here is the new MLA who believes that the Batla House encounter was bogus.
आप क्या इस मामले में जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी की मांग करते हैं, कोई एसआईटी बनाने की मांग करते हैं?
देखिए, जब तक किसी पर भी कोई आरोप साबित ना हो तब तक वो आरोपी नहीं है। हाँ, वो दोषी नहीं है। सिर्फ आरोप लगा देने से वो आरोपी नहीं हो जाता है, दोषी नहीं होता है, और मुल्जिम है वो मुजरिम नहीं है। और उनकी लड़ाई लड़ना कोई गलत बात नहीं है। मैंने लड़ाई लड़ी और मैं लड़ता रहूंगा।
जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी की मांग करते हैं।
अब देखिए, आरोप जब तक साबित ना हो, मैं तो ये है कि बेकसूरों की लड़ाई लड़ रहा हूँ, लड़ता रहूंगा।
This might be a popular thing, Javed, for him to say in his constituency, but this goes against all the evidence that's now been put out in the public domain. Why stoke this controversy at this time? Is this just pandering to populism?
Look, the gentleman in question contested the position that he's taken now in response to Muhammad Azim's question is the one that he had taken throughout the campaign, and people voted for him. But as far as the issue goes, it's dead and buried. The courts have given their verdict, and therefore it's dead and buried. I want to, if I can, use this opportunity to answer this question of very few people across different sections. Very few people believe, I mean, a large number of people agree that were very impressed by Mr. Kejriwal's 49-day government. Perhaps the BJP was a victim of its own spin doctoring. Somebody, their spin doctors gave them a talking point that, Bhagoda, this will stick. but the bhagoda didn't stick. In fact, the argument that Arvind Kejriwal used to make in his meetings, and I attended several of them, was, he says, contrast me with what the BJP and the Congress do. They will kill to stay in power. As far as I'm concerned, I refuse to succumb to the Congress party's blackmail. I gave up power, and this is something that the people appear to have bought into.
And even if it's stuck just for a while.
And I think
given the number of times he apologized.
Delayed elections, so he could also say, what have they done for 9 months?
Yeah.
That is so spectacular.
I guess, look at the way when he started. Let me tell you that I was there in the rallies. I used to be there at the discussions way back in January. People would say, yes, he left power. The word bhagoda was not used in amongst the underclass, but they were disappointed that he did not stick with it.
Let me take a very quick
slowly
break.
It changes.
We'll return and look at that one question which will become the biggest political hot potato. Is Narendra Modi to blame in any way for this debacle? What do people think of the performance of his government? Is the Modi wave ending? Those are critical questions, and we'll try and answer them for you from the CSDS post.